In the art of the High Renaissance, and we'll look at 4 examples here, we see the full flowering of a new style that contrasts sharply with the examples of medieval art that we looked at earlier. The first example I want to call attention to is the art of Botticelli, whose famous Birth of Venus, on the one hand, is not exactly realistic, and yet you see here again a fascination or an interest in drawing, depicting three-dimensional characteristics. The subject matter has nothing to do with theology. It is a story brought straight out of Greek mythology. Botticelli is interested in how one depicts beauty, and he had a lot of sketches that try to capture the essence of beauty. Again, it is a kind of spiritual beauty, but the spirituality is not that of the New Testament. It is an ethereal spirituality, a sort of Greek ideal. Here we have a painting by Botticelli called Primavera, another, the birth of spring, which is another story taken out of Greek mythology. And again, there is a kind of sensuousness to this painting that wouldn't have been characteristic of the Middle Ages. With Leonardo da Vinci, we have perhaps the fullest expression of this curiosity about how one depicts earthly delights or earthly realities visually, and how the artist becomes in effect the creator of beauty, not just the observer of beauty. Da Vinci spent hours in the marketplace sketching figures that he and assumed others would regard as ugly, and then figures that he regarded as beautiful. And he tried to ask himself, what are the characteristics that distinguish these two expressions? Da Vinci was an inveterate sketcher. He was always designing something, and his curiosity took him from art to architecture. Here is an early sketch of a papal tomb. Here we have his engineering drawings, in which he's trying to figure out how to design an effective pump for transporting water. Da Vinci was also a painter. Here the Madonna on the rocks shows his interest in the subtleties of light and shade. We see this characteristic triad, the triangle of High Renaissance composition. Here again, the nuances of light and shade in depicting a real person who's thinking real thoughts. The Woman with the Ermine, another famous painting, perhaps the most famous painting by Da Vinci, the Mona Lisa, with her enigmatic smile. And here, of course, the Last Supper, in a bad state of repair, but you can see Da Vinci's now complete awareness, his complete awareness of linear perspective here, and the composition of the clusters of 3 disciples. With Michelangelo, we have another consummate artist who was a sculptor, a remarkable sculptor who was able to evoke sort of living, breathing flesh out of cold marble. Here is the Madonna, the Pieta, the suffering Madonna who carries the crucified Christ. And his most famous collection of art in the Sistine Chapel is a telling of the biblical story spread out over several hundred square feet of, well, canvas, which was the roof of the Sistine Chapel, that begins with Genesis and creation and moves its way to the story of the apocalypse and the return of Christ. Here we'll clip through some of the famous images from the Sistine Chapel and from Michelangelo. We move on now to Raphael, the sweet painter, the soft painter, with his images of Jesus taking off the coming down of the cross, the deep emotion that's experienced all around, his soft Madonnas. Here, another famous Raphael painting in the Papal Chambers. You've read about Raphael in Brunelleschi's Dome. His depiction of Plato and Socrates in the form of